Now, Boris Johnson has been urged to reject, quote, rampant individualism and embrace the politics of belonging if he wants to win a general election. A study by the think tank Onward suggests there's been a hidden sea change in political attitudes across the UK. Well, with me now is the director of Onward, Will Tanner, who's also a former advisor to Theresa May and former deputy head of policy at Number 10. Very good to see you, Will Tanner. Now, this is astonishing, I find it, what you've discovered here, particularly this, that 66% of 25 to 34-year-olds want strong leaders who don't bother with Parliament. Is it true?
So it is, and actually we asked a series of questions around the kind of collapse in liberal democratic values, whether or not people are becoming a bit more authoritarian in what they believe. And we did find, as you say, that of all people, actually about 58%, just under 3/5 of people, believe in strongman leaders, people who don't have to bother with parliamentary democracy. Now, that doesn't mean...
Well, just to add in there, some also wouldn't mind a military dictatorship.
Indeed, and actually the thing that we found that was really fascinating and very striking was that 36% of 18 to 35-year-olds would favour having the army in charge. And that compares to 10% amongst over 75. So there's this extraordinary age gap in regard to authoritarian values, and it does seem like younger generations are becoming a bit more authoritarian than previous.
Do you think it's a reaction to what's been going on in Parliament over the last 3 years, just this deadlock?
Well, we see it all around the world. So it's true in America, and it's true in European countries as well. And what we've done here is update the kind of UK picture. But I think there has been, and this is what our study is all about, a bit of a sea change away from the kind of politics of liberal democracy and freedom towards a politics which is more associated with security, belonging, community. People seem to want a bit more structure in their lives. And some of the reasons for that might be quite interesting. So we find that lots of people, about 2/5, think globalisation has been bad. They think that automation is making jobs and wages worse. So there's a bit of a shift away from some of the big kind of liberal economic trends over the last few decades. And people want a bit more
some of the strands that inform basic conservatism about the freedom of the individual, the small state. Does this inform, this kind of information, does this inform the approach that's been taken by the new administration in Downing Street? The do-or-die Brexit, October the 31st, we're not negotiating unless you remove the backstop. It's all tough talk.
Well, I mean, all of that is tough talk. I mean, I certainly hope that Downing Street sits up and takes notice of this polling, because I think it does demonstrate that there's a relatively small number of people who are what you might call freedom fighters in society, and there's a much larger group of voters who support this politics of belonging. And so if the government's going to win a general election, I think they do need to pursue an approach which is much less libertarian and a bit more communitarian, if I can put it like that, and really does talk about communities, about funding public services, as the Prime Minister has already done, about regional investment in different bits of the economy. And so focusing on slightly different topics than the Conservative Party might have done in the past.
OK, Will Tanner, very good.